Beyond Barriers: The Untold Success of Black Entrepreneurship. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another inspiring episode of the Pink Parachute Diaries podcast. I'm your host, and today I have the privilege of sharing remarkable insights from my recent interview with Tammy Murphy, a visionary advocate whose work has fundamentally transformed how we understand Black entrepreneurship in America. Tammy Murphy isn't just a researcher or advocate. She's a force of nature who has dedicated her life to dismantling the invisible barriers that have historically limited Black business owners. Her groundbreaking work has created pathways of opportunity where others saw only roadblocks, empowering thousands of entrepreneurs to build thriving businesses against seemingly impossible odds. What makes Tammy truly exceptional is her refusal to accept the standard narrative that Black entrepreneurship is defined primarily by struggle rather than by triumph. When we typically discuss Black entrepreneurship, our conversations gravitate toward obstacles, barriers, and challenges. We talk about the funding gap, the lack of networks, the systemic biases, and while acknowledging these realities is crucial, Tammy Murphy offers us something profoundly different: a perspective that celebrates resilience, innovation, and unprecedented growth that's happening right now, often hidden in plain sight. During our conversation, Tammy shared something that might shock you. Despite persistent funding gaps and systemic barriers that we hear about constantly, Black entrepreneurs, particularly in hospitality and food sectors, are actually outpacing industry growth rates. This isn't marginal growth either. Black owned accommodation and food businesses grew by an astonishing 45% from 2020 to 2023. Let that sink in for a moment. A 45% growth rate during one of the most challenging economic periods in recent history, during a pandemic that devastated the hospitality industry, during supply chain disruptions that brought many businesses to their knees. This remarkable statistic defies all expectations and demonstrates not just resilience, but an extraordinary capacity for innovation that rarely makes headlines. As Tammy eloquently put it during our interview, the entrepreneurial journey for Black professionals is not defined solely by obstacles. It's marked by significant growth, innovation, and community impact that transforms entire neighborhoods and creates generational wealth. This perspective shift is revolutionary. It moves us from a deficit focused conversation to one that acknowledges and celebrates achievement, determination, and success. It doesn't ignore challenges, but refuses to let them become the entire story. Throughout our conversation, Tammy emphasized three key insights that deserve our full attention. First, as I've mentioned, the entrepreneurial journey for Black professionals is characterized by remarkable growth and innovation, not just obstacles. The narrative of struggle, while important, has overshadowed the incredible success stories happening across the country. Second, accessing dedicated resources specifically tailored for minority founders can be truly transformative in overcoming structural barriers. When resources are designed with an understanding of the unique challenges faced by Black entrepreneurs, the impact is exponential. And third, collective action matters profoundly. When Black entrepreneurs support each other through networks or shared spaces, the entire ecosystem benefits with more jobs created, higher revenues generated, and greater visibility within industries. To illustrate these points, Tammy shared several compelling examples that demonstrate these principles in action. The Charlotte Innovation Center in North Carolina represents a powerful testament to what's possible when communities invest in Black entrepreneurship. This center is being developed as a one stop hub specifically for Black owned businesses, led by Cathay Dawkins of the Charlotte Mecklenburg Black Chamber of Commerce. The challenges that prompted this initiative were significant. a lack of centralized resources, diminishing federal funding, and a pressing need for safe professional spaces where Black entrepreneurs could thrive. But rather than accepting these limitations, Dawkins and his team envisioned something revolutionary, a multifunctional center offering co working space, retail opportunities, distribution support for small businesses, and even technology programs for farmers. The results have been nothing short of extraordinary. With expected completion within a year, the center has already fostered connections among local entrepreneurs while raising $3.7 million in capital. Think about that. In a time when funding for Black owned businesses is notoriously difficult to secure, this initiative has attracted millions in investment. The project was inspired after Dawkins visited similar centers nationwide and identified Charlotte's need for its own resource hub. They've already secured property purchase with $30,000 invested and launched a successful fundraising campaign. When completed, this center will serve as both an economic engine and community anchor, expanding opportunities across multiple industries while addressing equity gaps. This example perfectly illustrates how intentional infrastructure investment can empower Black professionals at scale. It's not just about individual success stories, though those are important, but about creating ecosystems where success becomes more accessible and sustainable for an entire community. Tammy also highlighted the remarkable growth among Black owned hospitality businesses. From 2020 to 2023, there was a 45% surge in U.S. Black owned accommodation and food enterprises, according to Brookings Institution data. What makes this growth even more impressive is the context in which it occurred. These entrepreneurs faced higher supply costs, up to 20% more than competitors, along with inflation, volatility, and supply chain instability. Yet they found innovative solutions, including leveraging platforms like Walmart Business, which offer transparent bulk pricing and same day delivery solutions tailored specifically toward minority business owners' needs. The outcomes speak for themselves: improved operational efficiency, protected margins despite external pressures, and the ability to scale quickly in response to demand spikes. Many of these founders entered hospitality post pandemic seeking autonomy and faced steep cost hurdles compared with larger firms due to lack of economies of scale purchasing power. Their rapid industry growth far outpaces sector averages, a testament both to founder determination and strategic use of targeted vendor partnerships. This example demonstrates how corporate partnerships can level playing fields while amplifying minority entrepreneurship nationally. As Maya Angelou once said, you may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. These entrepreneurs embody this spirit, finding pathways to success despite significant headwinds. The third example Tammy discussed provides a broader context through quantitative analysis, the NBER working paper. Gender and Race Gaps on the Path to Startup Success examines disparities affecting startup formation and growth among women and minorities, including Blacks, in high growth sectors between 1996 and 2020. The numbers tell a sobering story. Black entrepreneurs represent only about 2.4% of VC backed startups. The new business formation rate gap compared to white entrepreneurs stands at minus 22%. And perhaps most troublingly, Black owned firms face a 20% higher failure rate compared to white owned firms. Yet there are signs of progress. Female founded VC startups had higher exit rates than their representation would suggest, a signpost toward untapped potential. Through persistent advocacy and gradual expansion of angel investor and general partner diversity, with approximately 4% of general partners now identifying as Black, We're seeing slow but measurable narrowing of historical gaps over recent years. This research provides an empirical foundation supporting calls to action around inclusive investing practices. It empowers us with data driven context about why resource hubs and networks matter so much and where progress still needs acceleration. What these examples collectively demonstrate is that success for Black entrepreneurs isn't just possible, it's happening right now, despite significant headwinds. But that success is often tied to access to resources, networks, capital, and supportive ecosystems designed with their specific needs in mind. As Tammy emphasized during our conversation, when we create spaces specifically designed to nurture Black entrepreneurship, we're not just helping individual business owners, we're creating economic engines that benefit entire communities. This brings me to an important affirmation that resonates deeply with our mission here at the Pink Parachute Diaries. My success is not measured by obstacles overcome, but by the lives I've positively impacted along my journey. This perspective shift from focusing solely on barriers to celebrating impact is transformative. For Black women entrepreneurs, especially, this shift in narrative is crucial. Too often, talented Black women are handed pink slips while underperforming counterparts receive golden parachutes. Our podcast exists precisely to challenge this status quo by highlighting the incredible achievements of Black women who are making waves in their respective fields. So, where do we go from here? What is the call to action that emerges from these powerful insights? I believe we stand at a critical crossroads. We can continue to focus primarily on the barriers facing Black entrepreneurs, or we can radically shift our attention to building and supporting the infrastructure that enables their success. Both approaches are necessary, but for too long, we've emphasized the former at the expense of the latter. The data is clear. When we create dedicated resources for Black entrepreneurs, they don't just survive, they thrive. They outpace industry growth rates. They create jobs. They transform communities. They build generational wealth. I challenge each of you listening today to ask yourself, what am I doing to support this ecosystem of success? If you're an investor, are you actively seeking out Black founded businesses to support? If you're a business leader, are you creating partnerships that level the playing field? If you're a consumer, are you intentionally directing your dollars toward Black owned businesses? The future of our economy depends on our ability to unleash the full entrepreneurial potential of all Americans. This isn't just about equity, though that matters deeply. It's about economic growth, innovation, and prosperity for all. Imagine a world where every aspiring entrepreneur has access, not just inspiration, to dedicated resources designed specifically around their lived experiences. A world where Black business owners don't face a 20% higher failure rate, but instead have the same or better chances of success as their white counterparts. That world is possible. It's being built right now in places like Charlotte and in hospitality businesses across the country. But it requires all of us to participate in its creation. As Tammy Murphy has shown us, the story of Black entrepreneurship in America is not primarily a story of barriers. It's a story of remarkable resilience, innovation, and growth against the odds. Let's commit ourselves to amplifying that story and, more importantly, to creating the conditions where such success becomes not the exception, but the rule. The future is being written right now. What role will you play in its creation?